What is happening, people of the earth? How's it going? Happy April 22nd. Happy April 23rd if you are listening or watching this podcast. I am rocking a Guns N' Roses shirt. It seems like the fashion these days is to have old school clothing that your parents used to wear. And especially if it's like rock star stuff. If you have like an AC/DC or like the Sex Pistols or even like, was it Motorhead? No. Metalhead? No. What's it called? What's that? Metallica. No, Radiohead. If you have like a Radiohead shirt or if you have like a Metallica shirt, like you're the coolest, you're the coolest person in the world. And that would make my dad the coolest person in the world because he has all the old school rock and roll shirts. He has this one, the Guns N' Roses. This is his. He has Sex Pistols. He has, did I say this one? Yeah, he has Kiss. I wear that one. I think I've worn that one on the podcast a few times. He has Bob Seger. He has Bruce Springsteen. He has, you can kind of understand who he is now. Once you throw out Bruce Springsteen or Bob Seger, especially Bob Seger, there's like a pigeonhole that's made for those people. They have characteristics, personalities about them that just kind of flow across a spectrum of human beings. That it's that very much like American nationalistic pride in the American flag would have gone to war if they weren't already a police officer or they became a police officer after they went to war or their kids are going to go to war. It's just like it's that deep, deep blood, American blood ties. And I'm not judging that either way. But what I'm saying is that if my dad would be the coolest person today if he was, I guess he still could be, but if he was like 25 and he was rocking this shit right here, the coolest person. Like they go on sale on eBay. Like you can literally, if you go on eBay right now, and if I type in AC/DC shirt, watch. What's that called? It's a thrifting shirt. Like, look at this. They have, I guess it's not, that's not as much as I thought it was. AC/DC retro shirt. Retro shirt. Here we go. This is when the price tag's going to go up. Boom. $10. Just kidding. It's not that much. But it is like a big fashion thing to do, to wear like really nice old school rock and roll stuff. But you guys didn't come here to listen to me talk about rock and roll stuff. Actually, I don't really know what people come here and want to listen to on my podcast. But somehow the podcast episodes keep moving and you guys keep on liking it and returning for new episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays. But today I want to talk a little bit about gossip, not gossip, but culture. Before I get farther, if you guys want to leave it a rating, like it, leave it a written rating. That helps tremendously. And then subscribe on YouTube, like on YouTube, and please tell people about the podcast. Just tell them to type in Michael Lab Show on YouTube, Google it, and it comes up, and convince them to subscribe to it, and convince them to get through the first few minutes of it, because after that, I promise you that they will end up enjoying it. But today, I want to talk a little bit about culture, and then I want to talk about the universe in some very extraterrestrial state. I also had to restack my books. They're going to fall down. I have to make a bookshelf because I think some of my books are getting bent, and I don't know book ethics, but you can see that this is like really unsteady, and I don't want that to like give out on me. That would make me very sad. But I do think I have to restack some of these books. Just seeing, I have so much stuff behind me in this podcast. But as you guys probably have been able to tell, some news came out regarding Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. First thing, Tom Brady was at a park hanging out warming up or like exercising at a park in Tampa Bay where he got kicked out by an officer. And if you look it up on Google, there's just a flood of people around him. When I first heard that, my first thought was, how did he not get pinpointed out before an officer found him? And I think what happened is he did get pointed out, and then the people came over. And since it was a collection of human beings, I haven't heard this going around, but I think since it was a collection of human beings around one person, the officer knew that it was probably a famous person. And two, that's illegal. Social distancing does not allow that. You can't be that close to people. Even though in Florida they open up the beaches. Dude, that governor up there is like he's like the whitest Texas Ranger who killed the most Native Americans. He's a gangster. He just does not care about what the rest of the world or what the rest of the country thinks about him. He just does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And I don't know his name. Governor of Florida. Ron DeSantis. He's got to be a young gunslinger. He's 41. He's from Jacksonville, so that kind of explains a lot. But I remember when we went down there on vacation during the COVID, he didn't close down the beaches. And by the time that he did close down the beaches, the whole country was pretty much on lockdown. I remember we walked into a restaurant. We walked into Carrabba's. I think it was Carrabba's. No, not Carrabba's. Yeah, Carrabba's. And we actually sat down and ordered food. Meanwhile, back in Maryland and pretty much all throughout the country, it was on complete lockdown. Like, he just does not care. He's a gunslinger. He just does what he wants. He went to Yale. He went to Harvard, so he's a smart dude. But I remember my assumption is that he didn't close the beaches because it was spring break. And a lot of people would be like, oh, well, that's a reason to close the beach. But I think he decided to leave it open until the kids go back. Just kind of stretch out the rubber band as much as you can because there's money to be made. And I think that's a huge tourist opportunity. Tourist opportunity for them. So he thought that the benefits of making the money would outweigh the kids that would die or spread the disease throughout the country. I wonder if you could take like a number of the people who got COVID, the college kids who got COVID in that area, spread it. If you could like say one person spread it to 8 people, times that by probably 200 people who got it, spread it out to 8 people each person, 1,600 cases. The 1,600 cases spread it to at 2 people, that's 3,200, 64,000, 128,000, 256,000. What's that, 4 or 5? Who cares? But I wonder if that was kind of that could easily have happened. But so he opened back up the beaches in Florida. He doesn't care, man. He does whatever he wants. So does but then again, Trump did say, let the governors do what the governors want to do, which, that's what he does. That's what Trump that's what he tweets. I saw one of his tweets recently. Here we go. No, not that one. I forget what it was. Oh, but so I saw this tweet from 4 hours ago. And this is just, if you just think about the world that we live in with social media and the access we have to people. I mean, if someone has a social media account, doesn't matter how famous they are, once they put out something, it reaches everybody, not just like a special group of people, it reaches everybody. And you would think that when you're the president of the United States of America, like arguably the most powerful person in the entire world, who has access to the nukes, who has the secrets of whatever, who knows things, you would think tweets like this would not be just shot out for people to hear. I have instructed the United States Navy to shoot down and destroy any and all Iranian gunboats if they harass our ships at sea. Now, I agree with that. I definitely think that should be done. But it's one of those things where it's insane to think that 50 years ago, A president would never announce that to the public, just that openly like that. That would be something that you would keep in house, right? There's some things like that you do with your family or that you do with your girlfriend, conversations that you don't want the public to know about. And I know that from having a podcast. There's some things I just don't want people to hear, so I keep them private and I don't talk about them on the podcast. And you would think that the equivalent of that would be for the president of the United States, he's the commander of the strongest military in the world, to keep tweets. I have instructed the United States Navy to shoot down, destroy any and all Iranian gunboats. And it's 11:59 recording this podcast. He did it 4 hours ago. He did that at 7:49. So at 7:50 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, he's waking up. This is the image I have of Donald Trump. Waking up in the morning, he rolls out of bed. Melania Trump might be next to him, but it could be anybody. Like who the fuck knows? Like who knows, man? It's Donald Trump, man. This guy was like, he's probably like doing crazy shit in New York City back when he was just like a real estate broker. He wakes up next to who the hell knows? Rolls out of bed, throws on his like Gucci slippers because he's buying the most expensive shit. He gets his cup of coffee, spikes a little bit with Jack Daniels, flies over to the Oval Office, sits down, plops his Gucci shoes up on top of the Oval Office desk. He gets his coffee with a little bit of Jack Daniels, puts a cigar in his mouth, or maybe it was, puts cigar in his mouth, smokes a little bit. By the way, it's 7:30 in the morning as he's put this tweet out. And by the way, this is not real. This is just my interpretation of it. And he grabs his phone, sitting back here, can't read it, pops up an Adderall real quick to get his mind rolling, and then he starts tweeting. And then he looks around, and there might be like a guy who checks his tweets, like if you're really famous, you hit send, but it sends it like to somebody else to check your tweet before you tweet it out because you don't want to get in trouble. But he doesn't have that shit, so he's like looking around. Maybe one of his advisors are possibly going to tell him, "Hey, Trump, you can't do that." But then again, his advisor's probably not even at work yet because they got to come in at 8:00, which is a federal job. So he's putting out these tweets, shit like, "I have instructed the United States Navy to shoot down and destroy any and all Iranian gunboats." It's crazy to think that we live in a world where that is just so, it's just there. It's just there. Like there's no secrecy at all. I'm not saying that the public needs to know everything and that we should know nothing. But what I am saying is that it is insane that Twitter has become the main news outlet for everybody. And what's even crazier to think about, it's a stock, so it's a public company, and it's not a government run thing. It's owned by somebody, by people. It's owned by people. And Trump is just like throwing shit out on there all the time. But whatever. Hate him or love him. I'm not criticizing him. I'm just kind of putting my interpretation of how nuts it is. And how almost like outside the simulation. It seems like if we're supposed to be inside of this bubble, we're supposed to be inside this bubble that we've known and that we can figure out very well, right? We have these rules, these rules that the world plays by. And there's certain constraints, there's boundaries. And for the past 200 years, whenever we have a president, there's boundaries that are developed. And they're pushed out to a certain extent. And once they get pushed out a little bit, they bounce out of the boundaries. It becomes something crazy, right? And you see this with everybody. And this is what ensues when chaos partakes, when chaos consumes us. It's because our collective societal objective viewpoint on what creates those boundaries, whatever it is, pushes outside of that, and chaos ensues. It's out of the norm. It catches us by surprise. And you see this all the time with Watergate. You see this with Bill Clinton. You see this all the time. And there's chaos, right? There's absolute chaos and people lose their mind. It's a big deal. And then shit like slowly goes back to normal. And that's kind of where our boundaries are. They're set. And they get pushed out every once in a while, but they come back in. Boom. 2016, this guy gets voted in the presidency. And that whole border now has been pushed out from all angles. If you could think about like a rectangle, and those are the borders. And you can see from like past history that there's like bumps pushing out from the left, the right, up and down of the rectangle. And what those bumps represent, scandals that happened where it altered our societal collective viewpoint on what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. Like I said, the Bill Clinton scandal with Monica Lewinsky, or the Watergate scandal. So you can see the damage put to the boundary, but it's just damage. It's not a broken hole. It hasn't blown through. None of the cases, none of the scandals blew a hole through our boundary. And that's, maybe they should have, like a lot of them, maybe they shouldn't have got covered up so quickly. But for the average person, it was just a little dent inside of the border. And then flash forward to 2016. We have this crazy, just impulsive, narcissistic dude who's a realtor. He becomes president. Boom, pops in the president. He's making jokes, grabbing girls by the pussy, making almost racial slander towards certain groups of people. He's saying this crazy shit. So our boundary is it's getting dented all the time, but collectively around the whole rim, it's getting dented. And then we're here in 2020 where our boundaries now are just it's expanded, right? So what used to be like a 2x4 rectangle, fill in the numbers, whatever, 2x4 inches, is now like a 4x10. It's doubled. And now there's like a huge boundary thing that people don't they don't pay attention to, because what is acceptable now is so much larger than what it used to be. And it's like, that's like what this is. It's like we've almost, I don't know if we could ever go back to a president where they throw around some political things that have like logic behind them and is backed by like, smart people, not like just their son, daughter, and wife, but like politicians who have, political science background and they've done the thing before. It's almost like those days are over. And it's so crazy that like 4 years ago, we had this idea of what a president was. And now we don't know. Now a president could be like a Barack Obama, like a sophisticated, intellectual, like a well-equipped, knowledgeable human who's very articulate with what he says, and he's very abrasive with what he says, but everything he says is thought and controlled, and he's not out there to harm people. It could be that could be a president. But then again, the president could also be just somebody who just has a darts and he's just throwing them trying to find the tail on the donkey. And just whatever sparks the fire, he just digs into it and explodes it. And then throws out tweets making fun of women, telling them they look like this, or, just crazy shit. And it's almost like we've entered a completely different world that we live in. Like we live in this different thing that didn't exist 4 years ago, that didn't exist when Guns N' Roses were at their heyday. And it's like, I don't know. It's so fascinating. Some days I wake up and like I'm, nervous about the coronavirus, but then there's some days where I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck? This is not the world that I woke up to, that I used to wake up to 5 years ago. And that could just be growth, me just growing up, or that could just be we live in chaos. Like, I don't know how Trump could be beaten. There's just something that's so attractive from him, and I think that attractiveness is just, he's just so rash. He just does not give two shits about anything. He's just aggressive, and I think people love that aggression. It's like the same reason why so many people who watch football may not be football fans. They just love the violence. They just love the aggressiveness. I don't know. I kind of went on a tangent there. That wasn't really what I was thinking about going on, but that's kind of what came out of my mouth. But yeah, this whole Rob Gronkowski thing. So Rob Gronkowski, you guys know, he's only 30 years old. That's insane. I thought this guy was like 35. He's only 30 years old. He's been in the NFL since he was 22, and he retired earlier this year. And I think one of the main reasons he retired was because of brain injury, right? It was one of those things where he had a butt ton of concussions. He's also one of those guys who had so much success so early in his career that he literally accomplished everything that could be accomplished by a football player. I don't know if he won MVP, but he definitely won a lot of other things. He was Super Bowl champion like 4 or 5 times. And he played in NFL for 9 years since he was 21 years old. Um, it's already changed. If you Google his name, it's already changed. But he was, he was a superstar. He's always been a superstar. And he's always been like an exciting, happy dude. He's kind of like the fraternity boy of the NFL. But he retired due to he wanted to protect his head. Completely acceptable thing. But now Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, and so why does Tom Brady go to Tampa Bay? And the few reasons why I think he goes to Tampa Bay. The first reason is because it's TB, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, and right when he got there, this is what I mean when we're talking like when you talk about athletes and you talk about the greatest of all time. There's a reason why people say Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, LeBron James. I think I said Tom Brady. But they're more than just the athlete. They're a businessman. They are a brand. Michael Jordan with a huge contract or whatever it is with Air Jordan and Nike. I think Air Jordan is a subset of Nike. LeBron James with all his shoes, with all his clothing, apparel. Tom Brady with all these huge endorsements that he gets from huge companies. Tiger Woods has his own line through Nike. Just these guys have so many other business ventures that they do. And I remember when I first saw Tom Brady go to the Buccaneers, I was like, what is he doing? Then I thought about it. He's like 42 years old, I believe. He's done so well in New England. So well. It's almost like he wants a challenge. And if he retires, he's not going to want to live in New England. He's going to want to live like somewhere where it's nice and it's warm and it's warm year round. And he probably has a lot of friends that live in Florida because he's famous and a lot of famous people live down there. So it was like in the Miami Dolphins, which is probably like, no, definitely not doing that. Miami seems too intense for him, but also at the same time, I think Miami's not capable of doing super well anytime soon. So he went to Tampa Bay was perfect. The weather's beautiful and it's TB, so he can trademark so much stuff with that. And guess what? Right when he goes down there, he trademarks Tampa Bay. So for Tom Brady. So he's going to put that all over shirts. It's going to sell $1 million a year. That's going to be like a huge $10+ million t-shirt company. We put other stuff on it too. We probably win a Super Bowl and make like Tampa Bay Super Bowl champs. TB for TB. So you put TB times TB. So you can just do that for like whatever, more clothing. But he just does these things that make him Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. There's other great quarterbacks, but there was so much of the game that they couldn't like really like pull themselves away from it. Like, how am I going to make long-term money? And you see that a lot with old-time athletes in all sports. But Tom Brady had it all. But Rob Gronkowski was retired because of brain injury. And Rob Gronkowski does the same thing. He's a smart guy when he comes to business too. Maybe not as smart as Tom Brady, but he does well for himself. But he came back and he got traded to the Buccaneers. And it's one of those things where who knows what's going to go on with the NFL season, but I think Tampa Bay, it might be too early to say. I don't know how their defense is. Let me look it up real quick. Defense ranking. Oh yeah, that's not good. Yeah, so they okay. So they're saying, okay, so this is a prediction from BucsNation.com for 2020. It says Tampa Bay will finish with the 28th ranked total defense, which allows 381.7 yards per game. The pass defense will finish dead last in the NFL, allowing 289 yards per game. The run defense will fall from first to 12th, and the Bucs will give up 88 yards per game. So apparently last year they were the best run defense in the whole league, and I think they're going to fall to 12th. So, but anyways, I'm sure that's going to, even if it doesn't have to be like, I mean, Tom Brady's his defense have always been, average, subpar, never really like the top. Every once in a while they are, but most of the time they're not. And he's just such a powerhouse on offense. But you're looking at a team now where it has, I think it's gonna be better. I don't think it's gonna be 20th. I think it's probably gonna be like 15 to 20. And then you look at the weapons that they have on offense. They're gonna have. So I don't know who the running backs are. Up here they have Peyton Barber. I'm not too sure who that is. But if you look at just their wide receiving core, so they're gonna have Tom Brady, who's he's the best quarterback of all time. He's gonna have Mike Evans, who is, I've always thought this, that I think he potentially could be the best wide receiver in the league, but he's just never had a top of the line quarterback. He's had Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston, he's iffy. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's great, but when he's not good, he's really bad. So Tom Brady, you can have Tom Brady. You're gonna have Mike Evans, who's the stud. You're gonna have Cameron Brate as a tight end, and OJ Howard, who are already amazing tight ends. You're going to have Chris Gooden, who's an incredible wide receiver. And then now you're going to have Rob Gronkowski. And it's like one of those things where Tampa Bay, do they literally just become the number one seed in the NFL? I saw something that like the Patriots are going to be like, I think it was like 9-7. I think the Patriots are going to probably finish up in. I don't know when the NFL season is going to start. I don't know if they know when it's going to start. I don't know. I think they're doing the draft online. I think that's how they're going to do it this year. I don't know too much about it, but I do know that's going to be a powerhouse team, and Gronkowski he's just that much better than everybody else out there. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, and I'm sure they're probably going to get one or two studs of studs left. They're probably going to get a few more studs that fly out to play with Tom Brady. They could get a huge running back. You never know. But it's going to be interesting to see once the NFL season does start up. I'm hoping other sports can start up. I'm hoping the UFC can reschedule their match, their fight, just because I think people need something to pay attention to. I do know the states are starting to open up. Georgia and Texas are both opening up this week. I think on Friday, so tomorrow, the day you guys are watching this, today's Wednesday for me, but you guys watch this on Thursday, so tomorrow for you guys, 2 days for me from now, you're going to be seeing Georgia and Texas opening up. And who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully we can just deal with this like it's a flu. Like we deal with the flu. We take precautions. Maybe we handshake less, if not end it for a while. Less hugs, and just we'll see. We'll see what the states reopening do. Those places are densely populated too. Like someone made the case in Georgia. Well, they didn't get attacked that bad. That's true, but there are a lot of people. And if the reason why they didn't get attacked that bad by COVID is because maybe they just, maybe it's warmer weather too. But, we shall see what happens with that. Hopefully Maryland schedules a time to reopen within the next month or so. I do know Governor Hogan just got 500,000 test kit for COVID-19 from South Korea, which is insane because it sounds like as a country we've been struggling super hard, but Hogan just like turns to his wife who's South Korean, and then boom, next thing you know, they have 500,000 tests. Don't know if that reflects badly on the country as a whole or if that reflects super positive on Governor Hogan. I'm not sure which one to look at, but I do find it very fascinating that we did get that many masks. But we'll see. We'll see how I don't know. The country hasn't officially opened, but Trump basically just told everybody, all the governors, to call their own shots. So who knows what that means. But that's it, guys. That's it for the podcast today. I was going to keep it short, just like a 30-minute podcast, nothing crazy. Usually the Thursday podcasts are a little bit shorter than the Tuesday podcasts, just because it's less time for me to come up with ideas. And on Thursday, I've been doing homework all week that my mind's kind of not really in the podcast thinking mood, and I don't have a weekend to come up with a bunch of different ideas to talk about. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure you leave it a rating. Make sure you guys, please, guys and girls, if you guys could please reach out to somebody who doesn't listen to the podcast but you think might be interested in a few episodes, just let them know about it. Just Michael Lab Show. It helps me tremendously. We're closing into 100 episodes. We have thousands of listens, and all of those numbers, they mean so much to me. I love doing the podcast. I love posting clips. I love being able to communicate with people. I love getting feedback from everybody. So if we could just keep growing that thing and keep pushing the message out there. One thing I did want to go over real quick, I just want to be open with everybody. So some of you guys may know about Silence Fitness. It's a clothing brand I had. So 2016 to present day, I've been running it, but I have actually closed down the business. Legally, it's all closed down and everything. So I'm just going to have a huge sale. I'm going to try to get a bunch of stuff out. But I don't want to go into it too much. But essentially, my passion ran out for it. And I just felt that I was disrespecting it by not giving it as much attention as I used to. And I know I shouldn't give up on things, but the passion wasn't there. And I think I was moving on in a different direction in my life. So I think I kind of just put it to the side and wasn't really paying attention to it. And I didn't want to neglect it like that. So I'm not running that anymore. The website's still up. I'm going to try to sell a lot of things. But in the meantime, if you guys want to just buy anything, just please go there. Use the code SPRING, SPRING, and you will get a huge discount on your order. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much. Leave a rating, comment, like, subscribe on YouTube. Rating on Apple Podcasts. I'll see you guys on Tuesday for episode 82. See ya.